Welcome back to another episode of the Captain 501 broadcast and a special happy Garifuna Settlement Day to every single person watching right now. And it's another guest episode, which means that I'm joined by a very incredible and talented Belizean guest. So, this Belizean Garifuna drummer has worked with some of the greatest legends in music. He's toured the world playing music in places from France to Spain to Ireland, and he aims to spread knowledge about the Garifuna culture and identity. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome none other than Joshua Arana. Ooh! Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
So, let's start. I want to start from the beginning. How did we get here to you making music? What got you into music?
Well, growing up, drumming was very popular, so picking up the rhythms was not that difficult. But again, everybody needed guidance of somebody, and that guide for me was Master Moses Roysus Berger.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Dangriga.
In Dangriga, okay. And so you're very adamant about the upkeeping of your culture and identity. Where does that persistence come from in making sure that everything that you do revolves around your culture?
It's important for one to know him or herself to be able to navigate the world. You can't. There's no way that you can navigate the world as somebody else because you will always be lost. Um, many times we try to be something else, and then we often wonder why is it that we're not progressing? But we're not progressing because we're not being who it is that we are.
Nice. That's a nice way to look at it. So, for somebody who is not from Belize, doesn't know anything about the culture, how would you introduce Garifuna to them?
Um, culture in general is the same. So when you speak about culture, if you make reference to any culture, so if you say Creole, it's Creole culture. If you say Maya, it's Maya culture. If you say Garifuna, it's Garifuna culture. The commonality there is culture, right? So everybody has a culture. And in the understanding of one's own culture, it is definitely easier for one to be able to understand somebody else's culture because culture is pretty much the same. And the underlying factor of culture is our spirituality, what it is that grounds us to be able to navigate in this, in what can be a chaotic world. And it is not really a chaotic world, but it can be for those who don't, who are not grounded in that aspect of culture.
So I've always been eager to know what is the difference between Garifuna and Garinago.
So Garifuna is a culture. We have Garifuna culture. We have Garifuna food. We have Garifuna language. We have Garifuna people. So Garifuna people and Garinagu are the same things. You could make because you could make reference to one person as a Garifuna person, but when there are many, you say Garinagu. So Garinagu is the plural for Garifuna when you're making reference to the people.
Okay, so they're sort of interchangeable in that way, right? So I've mentioned before that you've worked with some legends, right? Who's on that roster for the people who may not know?
So well, I definitely have to mention again the late great rather, Moses Royce Berger. Um, he helped me a lot to be able to understand the discipline of Garifuna drumming. And the discipline of Garifuna drumming takes you to understanding the discipline of all of life, right? So it was a privilege for me to be able to work with him and for him to be able to mentor me up to a certain point. And sadly, when he passed, um, I thought that it was important for me to be able to continue something that legacy that he had left with me to be able to then nurture to pass on. So I am a living, breathing legacy of the late great Roy Susberga. Um, along with with him, I've worked with Poots Titiman Flores, worked with Reckless Lloyd, Super G, Andy Palacio. Um, I worked with Ugaro Band, Punta Rockers Band, many dance groups like Ilagale Dance Group, Gemery. It's yeah, I
And the
pretty
list goes
much
on.
yeah.
So how did those collaborations come to play? Did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them?
When I was young, drums were played often, so picking up the rhythms were not difficult. Um, so when activities would come around, people would reach out to find out, are you available for certain things? And if if you're available, you'd be called, and if they like the way you work, then hey, you continue to grow and progress with people who you can work with. But again, that relationship has to be mutually beneficial, right? In terms of, and I'm not talking about mutually beneficial in terms of compensation. It has to be mutually beneficial where people are learning and creating awareness with each other.
I mean, that's just a testament to your brilliance, I guess, your talent in this field. I also mentioned in the introduction that you've played across the world. At what age did you embark on your first tour?
I was in well, my first trip outside of Belize was to represent culture was when I went to I was still in high school. I think I was in third farm. Um, so we went to represent with Cabo, the Caribbean Americans, the Central America Black Organization in Nicaragua. So we spent a little time there learning about Black cultures in the region. But when I embarked on my first tour was in 1999 when I traveled with, I didn't mention Paul Nabor, Aurelio Martinez, Asian the Duck Martinez, Owen Alberto, Ivan Duran. Yeah, so in 1999 we went to Rennes in France to do a show, and then the rest
The rest is history.
is
So now this may be an obscure question, but if you could throw out a number out there, how many shows outside of Belize do you think you've done? Or is it just too
um
many to count?
I've never sat down to count. It probably could be over 100, yeah, shows outside of Belize. Yeah, um, from from Asia, Europe, North America, South America. Um, yeah, it could be over 100.
Yeah, representing the culture,
Yeah,
all parts of the world.
exactly.
Yeah. What's your favorite city or country that you've been to?
Um, my favorite place to visit so far is Japan.
Japan. Oh, why?
Yes, it's just the. I think it's because the energy there, um, for me, it's in sync with my energy. The level of the level of respect. People, the greeting. People meet you on the street. They don't even know you, but it's not necessarily about you. It's about when one is able to respect themselves, and it's easier for one to respect anybody else. So I think I I appreciate the culture in Japan.
Good advice and words to live by. Yeah. So you're definitely, I think we're past professional at this point. You're a veteran, a legend in the game. And so now you've brought with us some of your drums that you use when you're out performing. So tell us a little bit about the ensemble that we see here.
Also, well, we have our in the Garifuna culture we have two drums, two main drums. So we have our segunda, and segunda means second, but if you notice, it ends with an A. so representing femininity. This drum is the heartbeat or pulse of every rhythm. Our mothers are the heartbeat or the pulse of our cultures, families, and society. So, because our mothers are the heartbeat or the pulse of our families, culture, and society, this drum is the heartbeat or the pulse of every rhythm, the our relationship, right? So, this is the mother drum. And again, if you want anything in culture to survive, teach it to the women, they will teach it to the children. Okay? This one is the father drum. This one is more boastful. This one is subtle. This one is boastful. But this one sets foundation for this one. Why? Because the timing that is set by this drum, this drum is the guide in terms of the time for this. This one cannot go outside of the time. All right. So even though when you hear the drum, you will first get attracted to the primero masculine, right? You will first be attracted to the primero, but the segunda is that which holds time, keep time, steady beat, steady.
Do these drums, the primera and the segunda, are they always used together, or are there times when you would only have one by itself?
Um, primeros are never played by itself, so there's not a genre in the Garifuna culture where primero are played alone. And even if you even if you're in a setting where you only have a primero, there's no available segunda. If you want to play a rhythm with your primero and there are no available segunda, automatically what do? You create a segunda. You tap your feet to create that timing, right? Or you will use your head too, right? So you will use something, right? But in the in, in the Garifuna culture, there is a space where segundas are played, only segundas, no primeros, and that's when we're doing the Dugu ritual, right? And the rhythm that we play for that is called ugulento. Ugulento. Three drums will be played. The snares, these are your snares. They will line across. They won't go up and down. They will go across. Three drums will be played. One represents past life. The drum in the middle represents present life. The drum on the other end represents future life. The snares set across, meaning that there is no unbroken relationship from generation to generation. Each generation has its obligations to the next generation. Okay, so that's the reason why, and that's so in this genre of music, we only have segundas. Again, segundas set foundation for every rhythm. Our spirituality helps to set foundation for our culture. So they also have a relationship.
Spirituality, as you mentioned, it's a very big thing for the Garifuna culture. And the ritual that you said, it's the Dugu.
Dugu.
Yeah, that's one of what I could imagine many different traditions. So how important is it to not just the culture but to like the family dynamic of spirituality?
It's extremely important for one to be able to understand, because spirituality is pretty much your understanding of the world, right? How you go about understanding of the world, how you go about navigating the world, right? Um, in the Garifuna understanding of the world is the concept that I and my brothers are one. I and my sisters are one. Aubu amurunu means I for you and you for me. Aubu amurunu. Au starts with an A, Bu starts with a B, Amuru starts with an A, and Nu starts with an N. ABAN spells Abba. Abba means one in Garifuna, right? It's so I'm gonna know I for you and you for me is saying that you and I we're one, right?
How many drums do you own?
I have a few more at home.
Hmm. So how long does a drum last? I would say.
um, Drums, oh, they last pretty long. They last pretty long, and the more you play them, the better they sound. The more you play the drum, the better they sound.
It's like it tunes over time.
Yes, and each and every drum, and again spirituality. Each and every drum comes with three spirits. Each and every drum has three spirits because as long as everything that is alive has its own spirit, right? There's no longer there might no longer be a tree in the forest, but it doesn't mean it doesn't there might no longer be that tree from which this drum was made, but it doesn't mean that the tree is no longer useful because it created this drum. So the spirit of that tree still resides or still is living its usefulness. The animal no longer roams the forest, but its usefulness does not cease to exist. It's still here. So that the spirit of that animal resides in the drum. The vine acts as a super highway. So all these highways that we drive on, and we look at our the freeways, and we just when you look at the vines in the jungle, they act as a super highway in the jungle. So the vine still, the spirit of that vine still resides in this drum. The drum maker gives value to all three spirits because it brings them together. The drum player gives voice to all three spirits.
So how does one become a drum maker? Is it just as simple as just learning it and doing it, or is there like another behind the scenes process that many may not know about?
Um, I think that anybody could, as long as you have the um, intangible knowledge how to make drum. I think you can, because it starts with that process. And I think as long as you try, then you start perfecting the craft as you go along. But the premier drum makers in our community are women. And again, like I said, if you want anything in culture to survive, teach it to the women. They will teach it to the children, right? The the man who used to make drum, Mr. Astin Rodriguez, he's up there in age right now. I think he's over 90 years old. Even though he has male children, none of his male children took up drum making as a craft, but he has two daughters, Data and Nori, who took up drum making as a craft.
Right now, I think that in the recent years, punta has grown to become one of the most well known genres in the country and also recognized worldwide. But what other genres are there aside from punta?
So we have paranda. Paranda is more serenading rhythm. Hugu hugu. Hugu hugu is used more as a welcoming rhythm. As a matter of fact, anytime when I'm asked to play the drums, um, the first rhythm that I would play would be hugu hugu. And the reason for that is we want to welcome those who are in the presence um, of the gathering itself, but we also want to invite our ancestors to be a part of the gathering because it is the culture that we are sharing is our legacy from them. Had it not been for them, had it not been for them, we would not have been, and we would not have been able to share.
What's your favorite song to perform?
Favorite song? I don't know. I don't know.
One that like whenever you see it on the set list, you are ready.
For me, let me just say this. Songs, the song that I like to play are the songs that have real meaning to me. Deep. The songwriter is really searched deep within him or her to be able to tell that story. Because again, songs in Garifuna music are the premier. The reason why you know about punta, you would probably know about punta rhythm, and you know about punta dance. But the name punta comes from the song. So the reason why there's a punta rhythm and punta dance is because there's a punta song. The reason why there's a paranda rhythm and paranda dance is because there's a paranda song. The reason why there's a hugu hugu rhythm and hugu hugu dance is because there's a hugu hugu song. Why is that? Is because the song tells a verbal story about something that is happening within the society or happened within the society. The drum player is supposed to understand what that story is about because the drum player is interpreting that same story in sound. As the dancer has to know what the song is saying to be able to interpret that song in movement. So it's one big story, right? It's the reason why again the songs that I really enjoy playing are the songs that really have deep deep meaning because you have to you have to bring out that emotion. Um, so many times when you see me play, I especially the songs that I feel connected to. I go to I go to that space where it's me, my drum, and the song.
I think one of my favorite things when watching a Garifuna performance is watching how everybody works together, you know, especially seeing the way that the drummers pay attention to the dancers, the way they watch their foot movements. How does that work? Like, do they just know exactly when a break is to occur, or how to align the music with the foot movements?
Okay, so we have different rhythms, and they have different way that certain rhythms are performed, or the relationship between the drummer and the dancer, right? Like for paranda, the drummer plays, the dancer dances. Punta, the drummer play, the dancer dances. The drummer and dancer will be interpreting same song that they're singing, right? And with that interpretation, everything will be in sync because it's the same interpretation, the same understanding of the story of the song. But when it comes to chumba, wanaragua, sambay, it is the dancer who leads and the drummer responds to the movement of the dancer. So one of the things that you don't want when you're playing these rhythms is for a dancer to walk out of the ring. That means that the drummer lost that competition between.
You also mentioned that the importance of the performance is that they're telling a story. What are some storylines that they would normally cover?
Let me see. Like for example, Aurelio, Darua nege benalu nimirigo. Bena is door. Darua is closed. Meriga, America. The door of America is closed. So it's like the border is closed. Aurelio wrote this song years ago, but the realities of this song is happening now, right? So yeah, there are different songs that just transcends time, and we see there is a song. Chila ni tura ani hasandia duga bulana ho. Um, somebody is talking to another person, saying expressing that the sickness that they have is making a mockery of them. They're Ibuganale loba indurama aluga arani daraya arani. I've walked. Person saying I've walked all over Honduras looking for remedy, and there's none. Um, Bayahu nagambo medyo lobugunala. And she's telling this person, "You're crying, but I've already heard that that you are happy about the situation I'm in, but you're only crying in front of me, right? Ragabe baguira nituare dabe niteme buayure luni bayaho. It's like dry your tears, dry your tears. Um, don't cry, because a day will come when you will need those tears.
So it's all real life
Yeah.
occurrences. Hmm. Wow, I never thought of it in that way before. That it's all real life. So okay, now we've talked about genres. We talked about dances like the chumba, the paranda, but we've missed out one of my favorite ones, the jankuno.
Jungle,
Yes.
Wanarago.
How did let's start from the beginning. Where did that originate from?
Wanaragua is when 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 you speak about Wanaragua, Wanaragua is still being explored. Oftentimes people the story. Oftentimes people want to think that the story of black people started with slavery. There's there's no such thing that the story of the black people started with slavery, because something had to have exist for it to be enslaved, right? So a lot of time when you talk to people, it's talking about a mockery of slave masters. The Garifuna people were never enslaved, but it's a mockery of a system, a colonial system, um, to say that this is this is who you are, this is what you are, but who but we are comfortable with who it is that we are, right? And it's just a mockery of the system and a resistance of the colonial system.
And the songs that are sung. Well, firstly, Wanaragua and Jankuno, is that the
It's the
same?
same thing.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, no. Okay, let me.
Hmm.
Wanaragua means mask. Wanaragua means mask. So Jankuno is a form of Wanaragua
Okay.
because they have other mask dances. Those any dance that you do with in a mask is Wanaragua. But oftentimes when people say Wanaragua, they're making reference to the Jankuno, right? But we also do Cherkanare, which is also a form of Wanaragua, right?
Cherkanari, that's 2 foot
The
cow.
2 foot cow,
All right, yeah.
that's also Wanaragua, right? Because it's a mass dance. We used to do another one called Warini, that's also a mass dance. We did one called Piamanadi, which is also a mass dance. So they're all in the same category. But oftentimes when you hear people say Wanaragua, automatically we think Chankun.
How has the music and the performances, how has it all changed since you started up until now? What are some of the main differences that you've seen?
The the music now is influenced differently. Again, depending on where you are, culture will change. So the music in Honduras and Guatemala has Latin influence, right? So you will hear them speak with a bit more speed than we would, because if you listen to the English language, the pace of the Garifuna language in Belize are the same. The pace of the Garifuna language in Honduras and Guatemala is just like if you would listen to Spanish people speak.
This episode of the Captain 501 broadcast is brought to you by the National Institute of Culture and History, NICH. NICH has been serving Belize for over 20 years as Belize's premier cultural institution dedicated to safeguarding and preserving culture and history. Whether it's divisions like the Institute of Archaeology or the Institute of Social and Cultural Research, NICH has created various outlets to maintain an open and collaborative approach to cultural heritage and arts promotion, management, and cultural safeguarding with its various stakeholders. You can learn more about the resources provided by NICH by visiting the Museum of Belize or the Museum of Belizean Art located in Belize City, the various houses of culture located countrywide, as well as visiting nichbelize.org or other websites such as the 501 Academy and Access 501. There is Garifuna in Belize, but there's also Garifuna, as you mentioned, in Guatemala and Honduras. How similar and how different are they in terms of the culture and
It's the same.
the exact same?
No, exact same. It's yeah, it's the same thing. The philosophy is the same. The principle of Garifuna Do is the same. What the Garifuna Tereng Shatilida Lageda Garifuna. There is no Garifuna stranger in a Garifuna land. Um, Garifuna is Garifuna. It's there is anything else. Anything else is things have changed and people have adopted Western concepts. But Garifuna is Garifuna. There's no difference. Garifuna is Garifuna.
They're all one.
Yes.
How closely related is the Garifuna language to Spanish? Because I see that there's a lot of like Spanish influences within the language.
I think our language is predominantly from our Amerindian heritage, but we have adopted some words as our history goes and continue to grow. Um, so, for example, um, in when the language was created back then, they had no no place for school because the world was our school. So you don't need a word for school, right? So when you say in Spanish you say escuela, in Garifuna we say la escuela, right? So adapted words that can be used, and for those words that we have no use for, and that's what culture is all about. Culture, I don't believe in mother or father cultures. They're brother or sister cultures where we share that which you can use, you pick up and you use. Because at the end of the day, at the foundation of life, um, culture is the same because people are the same. There's only but one spirit. So there's only but one people and there's only but one culture.
So as you know, this episode is coming out on the 19th of November. So what is the significance of November 19th to the Garifuna culture?
The significance of the 19th is showcases the arrival of the Garifuna people to the shores of Belize. Um, and again, the 19th of November became a holiday even before Belize became independent. It was a national holiday. I think it was in 1977 that the 19th of November became a national holiday. Belize became independent in 1981. Um, so it's important for us to be able to recognize, and not only for the Garifuna people, each and everybody has to find those markers in history that are important to them, for them to be for them to be able to remember the sacrifices of those who were, for you to be able to nurture and grow and remember that there were people who came before you, who struggled in your name, and it is your responsibility to be able to do the same, not just in their name, yours, but also for those who you don't even know.
My favorite part has always been the entrance when they're coming in from the sea. So what does that represent? First of all, is there a name for that
It's
in
called
Garifuna?
it's called Yorome.
Yorome. Okay.
Yorome translate is Saint Vincent.
So what does that what are they representing in that
It's
part of
show
it?
it's showcasing our arrival, um, coming in from the sea, um, arriving on the shores of Belize, asking for permission to be able on the to settle on the shores, and Dangriga becoming our first our home, right? Which became for a long time the largest Garifuna settlement in Belize. So it's just for us to be able to remember and reflect. Important for us to be able to reflect on the struggles of our people. And it's not that we haven't, and it's not that we will not continue to face struggles, but to be able to nurture the struggles, hold on to the struggles, those people who were, and know that even though we are facing some struggles, we stand on the shoulders of giants who were here before us. And as a result of the contribution that we make, other people will be able to say about you, about each one, even the people listening. People will be able to look back and say, I stand on your shoulder, on the shoulders of giants, people who came before me.
So what does a typical November 19th in Dangriga look like?
Growing up, it's different when I was growing up to now. It was all about drums. I remember when I started playing the drums, and I was able to go out and spend the night out playing the drums. We would go to the shed. It would be different groups. Before the 19th, we would go around what we call house to house. So we go house to house, playing the drums, and people would share different things. Some people would give rice, some people give beans, some people wine, some people money. But all of those things would come together. And for the 19th, when we were playing drums under the shed, there would also be big cooking happening to ensure that the people who are there to celebrate, that people are fed. So I used to play drums all night. Things have changed. Now there's a lot of there's more celebration and less reflection. But I believe that it is also as a result of people being um, misguided in the in the system which we find ourselves. Um, we 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 were we were an educated people before we were introduced to a schooling system. As schooling and education are two different things.
So what advice do you have to this younger generation who may be watching as far as it comes to embracing and remembering and respecting the culture?
Everybody in this life has a purpose. Even each and every one of you has a purpose in this world. If you can think about the most beautiful, the highest, the most extravagant pyramid that you could ever think about, what does that look like for you? What does that look like in your head? When you close your eyes, think about what that pyramid looks like for you. And after you think about all of that and the beauty of that pyramid, how do you feel knowing that you are the person that you are way on top of that pyramid? You're at the peak of that great, big, magnificent pyramid. Why is that? It's because you are one, but you have two parents. You have four grandparents that start to form in the corners, but you have 8 great grandparents, and you have 16, and then we go to 32, and then 64. You are standing on the shoulders of people who are proud of you even when you fail in your mind. For them, failure is for you. They don't see your failure. They are proud of you regardless. When one is able to look and reflect on their ancestors, I think that much more people have a better chance of surviving what can be but is not a chaotic world. Chaos happens in the mind, and then we live chaotically. But peace also happens in the mind because there are people who are proud of you, people people who see your success even when you think you're failing. And you stand on those people's shoulders and you're at the top of that magnificent pyramid that you imagine, and that's your reality.
Who are some of your inspirations?
I give honor to the leaders that were, and but I know that they placed us that we're here because we're here for a purpose. And while I call on the names of those and I honor those who were here before us, I want to call on the Dr. Gwen Eunice Gonzalez, the people who are pushing for the culture to be able to survive. Miss Emily Martinez, Belmopan. We're looking at Dr. Jerome, Jeremy Cayetano. We have at the museum of at the Golese Museum, we have people like Warise Eligio. We have people who are doing things. We have people who are. I have my mom who is a seamstress. We have Desiree Diego, and if you notice, I'm calling women, right? Because they are they're the powerhouses of the culture, and I think these are the people who I see and continue to encourage me to be able to just. It's not about doing. It's not about trying to do big things. It's trying to do just the little things that you can do, little things that you can, and you will never know how those little things can influence somebody else to be able to do something great.
Before we let you go, where can the people find you?
Uh, I don't know. Facebook, Instagram. My daughter deals with. I'm not. People, I will. I connect with people in their spirit. I just say that because it's just it's just how it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, definitely. Well, if anybody has heard of any of the popular Garifuna artists or music in some sort of way, you probably had a connection with
Yeah.
them.
Yes.
So definitely, if they may not have seen your face, they definitely have heard your work in some way, shape, or form. But thank you for being on the podcast today.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want more episodes, be sure to go check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcast from. And again, a special happy Garifuna Settlement Day to every single Belizean watching, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.